Dear student, in this video lecture, we are going to discuss about IAM architecture, that is Identity Access Management. So we are going to give the identity and access to a particular person to go with the cloud environment, and they can deal with the storages in the cloud. So we are going to tell who is the person who is going to be access the cloud environment, identity and access management. The security in any system involves primarily ensuring that the right entity get access to only the authorized data in authorized format at an authorized time and from an authorized location. For example, in an industry, there will be n number of cadres of people working in various levels. So we will be giving authorization for the cadre wise to access a particular amount of thing in an industry. So that we call it as a right entity should be given to access the authorized data in an authorized format, in an authorized time and from the authorized location. So if someone who is working in an IT industry, they can access their cloud only with the help of the system which is provided in an IT industry in office space. From there, they can able to access some data. So once they are going out of the office, they cannot be or should not access a particular data which is stored in the cloud environment. So it gives an identity and access. The identities, trust, authentication, access controls have obtained an additional significance in the cloud environment. IAM is of prime importance in this regard. It is mainly used to access to the resource by assuring that the identity of an entity is verified. That is, we are verifying that the correct person is accessing the data in a correct level. Identity access management is a critical function for every organization and a fundamental expectation of software as a service customer. See, the manager has the access to access all the information of the people who are working below him. But the manager is not able to access the information of data which will be accessed by a CEO of the organization. So there we set some set of levels. That is, we are going to give a point, access point to limit the access point to each and every person who is working in an industry. The principle of least privilege states that only the minimum access necessary to perform an operation should be granted, and that access should be granted only for the minimum amount of time necessary. The advent of cloud services and service on demand is changing the identity management landscape. Most of the current identity management solutions are focused on the enterprise and typically are architected to work in very controlled in static environment. These are the main functions of identity access management: identity provisioning, authentication, authorization, and policy management. As a user, you have some set of identity to access the data, and we will be following some set of authentication. After the authentication, you are able to authorize the data, and there will be some set of policy management. If I take an example that I am working in an IT industry, I have an authorization to work in some set of particular storage of data in a cloud environment by connecting with my system, by getting an OTPs and validating, and at a particular time of morning 9 a.m. to night 9 a.m. 9 p.m. So from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. only I can able to access that. We call it as a policy management. So this is an architecture flow diagram. The architecture flow diagram contains 4 parts. One is a CRP, that is a cloud resource provider or cloud service provider. Next one is the identity management, that is the authorized user. Third one is the policy management. What types of policy we are going to have with for this IAM architecture. Fourth one is a resource engine and access decision making. As a user has access with resource engine and policy decision making, with the multiple factor authentication like password, certification, tokens, he or she, the user can be able to go with and access the data. And he has to go with the policy management and resource and user authorization, and the user can use the cloud resource provider. He can upload the resource and he can use the services called infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, SAS as a service. So the user cannot directly go with the cloud resource provider. He has to go for a resource engine, multi-factor authentication service is done, and the identity is checked with the policy management, and the user has to use the resources, and then only they have to go and upload the resources with the help of cloud service providers. So CRP, that is Cloud Resource Provider or Cloud Service Provider, is responsible to access based on the user identity and privilege. Cloud resources mean it involves software, OS, and a cloud environment. User upload resources means are mainly user generated resources and upload their own resources to the cloud, which provides data access to user. Identity management. It means we are going to check the user as the correct identity with the help of multi-factor authentication and identity information inquiry service. The policy management. What are the policies we are going to have? Attribute management, user authentication, resource management, access policy management, and policy inquiry service. So these are the policy management. So while accepting the policy management, the user can go with the cloud